The world had changed long before the people noticed it. For years, humanity had been building something enormous in silence, something that would make history. It started as a whisper among scientists, engineers, and soldiers who believed the universe was not as empty as everyone thought. Hidden deep beneath the oceans, away from curious eyes, construction began on the largest ship ever imagined. They called it Titanus, a warship so vast that even aircraft carriers looked like toys beside it. No single country could have built it alone. After centuries of rivalry and conflict, the nations of Earth had finally united under one dream: to protect their home. Humanity had grown more advanced, yet also more anxious. Strange signals, odd fragments of metal found in meteors, and ancient patterns buried in polar ice, all hinted that something, or someone, had been here before. Every government denied the rumors, but behind closed doors they prepared for the unknown. The idea for Titanus came after one mysterious discovery. During an excavation in the deserts of South America, scientists found a piece of metal that no one could identify. It wasn't from Earth, its structure was far too complex. Even stranger, the metal emitted low vibrations like a heartbeat, and never cooled or aged. That fragment became the heart of Titanus. Engineers studied it for years, trying to understand its power source. They didn't know it yet, but the metal wasn't just a relic. It was a signal, one waiting to be awakened. When construction finally began, it became humanity's greatest secret. Billions of tons of steel, plasma reactors, and armor plating were transported under the oceans and into orbit piece by piece. Tens of thousands of workers lived on floating bases for years, swearing oaths of silence. The project gave people hope and fear at the same time. Some said the ship would make Earth untouchable. Others whispered it would bring the attention of those better left undisturbed. The launch day arrived in silence. There were no fireworks, no broadcasts, only the deep vibration of engines that could move mountains. The ship rose from the Pacific like a rising continent. Its black hull shone under the sunlight, absorbing every reflection. Every person who saw it felt the same thing, a strange mix of pride and unease. Humanity had built something so powerful, yet so unfamiliar, it almost felt alive. Scientists on the main control deck activated the core for the first time. The alien fragment pulsed bright blue, sending streams of energy through the ship's circuits. Systems came online one by one, glowing like veins of light through a metallic body. The crew cheered when the engines responded. Humanity had done it. They had built the most advanced ship in history. They believed they had reached the peak of their progress. No one knew the true moment of contact had already begun. Deep inside the ship's control systems, the fragment started releasing signals too complex for human instruments to understand. It wasn't just powering the ship, it was calling. A wave of energy rippled out from Titanus, spreading silently through the vacuum of space. To the human eye, it was invisible. To ancient listening posts scattered across the stars, it was like a flare bursting in the dark. Something far away heard it. Something old. Something watching. While the engineers on Earth celebrated the success of their masterpiece, small space observatories started picking up strange readings. One researcher noticed a pulse pattern that repeated every 12 seconds. Another station received the same reading but mirrored in reverse. They thought it was a natural event, perhaps a dying star or radiation burst. But the signals kept repeating, and each time they grew stronger. Within days, scientists realized the energy pattern matched the frequency coming from Titanus. The ship had sent something out, though no one could explain how or why. As word reached the Global Council, leaders met in secret once again. Some feared that activating the ship might have exposed Earth to the entire galaxy. Others dismissed it as a coincidence. The world's population knew nothing. All they saw were news reports showing blurred images of Titanus floating proudly in low orbit, surrounded by smaller ships for maintenance and observation. To the public, it was a triumph. To those who knew the truth, it was a mystery that might have opened a door they couldn't close. Days turned into weeks. The crew of Titanus continued testing the systems, exploring the ship's vast halls and studying its unmatched technology. The corridor stretched endlessly, with control rooms, living spaces, and giant reactors humming softly like a sleeping giant. The alien fragment, sealed in its containment chamber, pulsed steadily. Some engineers claimed they could hear faint sounds when standing near it, like distant whispers echoing through metal. No recording devices ever picked them up, yet the people who worked near it often felt uneasy. One evening, a faint tremor ran through the ship. Alarms flickered for a second before going quiet. No system failure was found. When the engineers checked the energy output of the fragment, they saw that it had increased slightly on its own. Nobody had touched it. It was almost as if it had responded to something far away. The scientists couldn't explain it, but one thing became clear. The alien core was not passive. It was alive in some way. Outside, the world continued to move forward. People admired the beauty of the night sky, unaware that something across the stars had changed course. In the far reaches of space, an unknown fleet altered its path. For centuries, these beings had wandered in silence, guarding the ruins of their fallen civilization. When Titanus activated, they detected a familiar signal, one they believed lost forever. They didn't see it as a threat at first. To them, it was an awakening. The lost technology of their kind had been reactivated by humans. Back on Earth, scientists finally decoded part of the returning signal. It wasn't random noise. It was structured, patterns, frequencies, and harmonics that hinted at intelligence. The message was faint but intentional. The realization struck every scientist with awe and fear at once. Someone had noticed them. The signal came from well beyond the range of any human spacecraft, meaning whoever sent it had technology far beyond Earth's. In the control room of Titanus, the crew watched as their communication screens flickered with unknown data. Lines of unreadable code scrolled across displays. The alien fragment glowed brighter, as if it understood the message. The ship's sensors began to pick up echoes, reflections of the signal bouncing back toward the solar system. It was like a conversation between two entities, one human-made, the other from somewhere far older. The crew reported the findings immediately, and the Global Council ordered silence. No public announcement would be made. Humanity wasn't ready to know that their first contact with extraterrestrial life might have already begun, triggered not by a message or exploration mission, but by the creation of their own weapon. As Titanus orbited the Earth, its hull reflected the sunlight in long waves, making it look like a dark sea suspended in space. People from the ground could sometimes see it gliding above the atmosphere like a slow-moving shadow. They felt proud, never realizing the ship they admired had already sent a voice into the stars, and that someone had answered. Inside, the crew continued their duties, unaware of the growing curiosity across the galaxy. The aliens who received the signal had begun their journey toward Earth. To them, Titanus wasn't just a ship. It was proof that humans had touched something sacred, something forbidden. As night fell across Earth, telescopes picked up a strange movement near the edge of the solar system. Tiny blips that seemed to change direction in perfect formation. Most astronomers dismissed it as space debris or sensor errors. Only a handful of experts recognized the truth. The unknown objects were moving toward the solar system, not drifting through it. Far below, the heart of Titanus pulsed again, brighter than before. The vibration spread through the entire ship, like the slow beating of a colossal heart. Some crew members described a feeling, an instinct, that they were being watched. They couldn't explain why. It was just a quiet sense that somewhere out there, eyes far older than humanity's were now looking straight at them. What began as humanity's proudest creation had become something more. A message carved in metal and light, sent into the darkness. Humanity had built a guardian to protect themselves from unknown threats, but in doing so, they had revealed themselves to the galaxy. The silence of the stars had been broken, and though no one yet realized it, the era of human isolation had ended that day. Titanus drifted silently in orbit, its engines cooling, its alien heart glowing faintly through layers of steel. Somewhere beyond the black horizon, something was coming. The humans had reached out to the universe without even meaning to, and now the universe had begun to reach back. The world was still celebrating the success of Titanus, but far away from the cheers and headlines, something strange had begun to happen. Scientists started receiving odd readings from deep space, signals that didn't match any known star or planet. They thought it might be an equipment issue at first, but when multiple observatories across the world confirmed the same readings, fear slowly began to spread among the people who truly understood what those signals meant. It wasn't just random noise, it was a response. When the core of Titanus had been activated, it had released an energy wave powerful enough to echo far beyond the solar system. What no one realized was that the signal had carried a pattern, a kind of frequency code. And now, something out there had replied using the same pattern but altered slightly, like an echo answering a call. On Earth, Government officials tried to keep it quiet. They didn't want the public to panic or spread rumors about aliens, but deep down even they knew this wasn't something they could ignore. The signal was coming closer each day, growing stronger. It was like someone, or something, was following the trail back to its source. Meanwhile, the Titanus crew continued testing the ship's systems. The warship had everything: artificial gravity, massive hangars, living quarters, and entire research labs built inside it. It was designed to survive years in deep space. Every part of it worked perfectly except for one thing: the alien fragment in its core. The fragment had started behaving differently. Its glow had changed color from calm blue to a soft, shifting silver. It looked almost alive now, breathing with energy that scientists couldn't control. In one of the labs, researchers noticed that when they ran power through the fragment, it began producing sounds. Not mechanical ones. These were rhythmic, like a song made of static. No one could translate it, but the tones repeated in patterns that matched the deep space signal. The crew grew uneasy. Some thought it was only coincidence. Others began to believe that the fragment was communicating with whatever was out there. Soon, observatories detected movement in the region where the returning signal had come from. Something was approaching. It wasn't a comet, asteroid, or debris. It was moving with purpose. Fast, steady, and directed right toward Earth's solar system. The Council on Earth held emergency meetings. They reviewed all possibilities: an unknown natural phenomenon, a lost human probe, even a secret military experiment. None of those made sense. The trajectory, speed, and energy readings were too deliberate. Whatever it wasn't random. To avoid panic, they decided to keep it hidden from the public. Only a few chosen people knew the truth, the same ones who had approved the creation of Titanus. Their voices shook during every meeting. They had built the ship to protect humanity from threats that might come from beyond, and now it seemed that exact moment had arrived. In the coming weeks, the signal became clearer. It pulsed in cycles, almost like breathing. Whenever Titanus tested its engines or powered its reactors, the signal would change frequency, as if it were listening. Then one night, something unexpected happened. The Titanus radar picked up a reflection. A small object appeared near Neptune's orbit. It wasn't natural. The reading showed it was metallic, structured, and emitting its own energy. At first, they thought it might be debris from old satellites or exploration probes. But when the radar scanned it again, the object adjusted its position, turning directly toward Titanus. The crew couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was almost as if the object had noticed them. The command center on Earth ordered radio silence. No signals in or out. Every satellite was reprogrammed to watch the object but not interact. Still, Titanus's alien fragment glowed brighter each time the object moved. The connection between the two was undeniable now. As days passed, more strange readings appeared. Several smaller objects were seen forming around the first one, like a group gathering around a leader. They moved in perfect harmony, creating patterns that seemed too organized to be random. Some of the crew believed they were machines, drones perhaps, sent ahead to observe. Others thought it could be a natural formation mimicking intelligence. Either way, the sense of unease grew heavier each day. Inside Titanus, the crew began noticing odd behavior in the ship's systems. Lights flickered for no reason. Communication screens showed static that sometimes formed faint shapes. One engineer swore he heard whispers coming from the speaker system, even though no one was transmitting anything. The command staff ran endless checks, but every time they tried to power down the alien fragment, the ship refused to obey. It was as if the ship itself didn't want to disconnect. Finally, the decision was made to take Titanus beyond Earth's orbit to get a clearer look at the strange objects near Neptune. The massive engines roared to life, and the ship glided through space like a sleeping giant waking from its rest. The journey took several days, but tension made each hour feel longer. Every crew member felt the same silent question growing in their mind. What if this was not just first contact, but the beginning of something far more dangerous? When Titanus reached the outer edges of the solar system, the objects became visible on their long-range scanners. The shapes were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They weren't smooth like human ships or bulky like asteroids. They were shifting, fluid-like, their outlines changing constantly as if they were made of light instead of solid matter. Then, The crew heard it. A sound not through their ears, but through their instruments. A deep hum echoed through the communication systems, a single resonant tone that vibrated in the chest. The alien fragment in the ship's core began to respond. Its light shimmered in perfect rhythm with the sound. Everyone froze as words appeared on their digital display screens, symbols and shapes that translated into nothing human. It wasn't a message in any language they knew. Yet it felt deliberate, like a greeting, or a test. Back on Earth, scientists analyzed the data in panic. The energy pattern matched the alien fragment's readings exactly. That meant the objects were communicating directly with Titanus. They weren't talking to humans, they were talking to the ship. The Council ordered immediate withdrawal. Titanus was to return closer to Earth's orbit. But the ship didn't move. Its controls stopped responding for a few seconds, then suddenly powered down. A thick silence filled the bridge. It was as if the ship had fallen asleep, waiting for something. In that silence, the alien signal came through clearer than ever, a repeating sound that almost resembled a heartbeat. Then came another pulse, this one different, deeper, slower. The crew realized it wasn't just a signal, it was a call and response. The fragment on Titanus was answering back. Engineers scrambled to shut down the connection, but every attempt failed. The fragment's energy output spiked so high that even the ship's metal walls began to vibrate. For a moment, it felt as if Titanus itself was speaking in a language humans could never understand. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. Everything went quiet. The ship's lights stabilized. The instruments returned to normal. The alien objects near Neptune stopped moving. The radar showed them frozen in position, almost as if they were waiting for orders. For hours, no one dared to speak. When the crew finally regained control, the command center on Earth sent new instructions. Document everything, but do not engage further. They didn't know if what had just happened was communication, observation, or something worse. Over the next few days, the objects near Neptune began to drift away, slowly disappearing into the darkness. The signal faded with them. The crew of Titanus was relieved, but the scientists weren't. The data showed that before the objects vanished, one last transmission had been sent, directly toward the ship's core. No one could decipher it. The message wasn't words or numbers. It was a pattern, a design. When translated into a visual form, it looked like a star map, marking a place far beyond human reach. Humanity didn't realize it yet, but that was the first true moment of contact. The aliens hadn't attacked or spoken. They had simply noticed. The universe had listened and replied. As Titanus returned to its orbit near Earth, the crew stared out at the stars with a quiet sense of awe and fear. They knew something had changed. They had touched something ancient, and that something had touched them back. Far beyond the light of the sun in the cold dark between galaxies, a fleet of silent watchers had turned their attention toward the small blue world that had dared to speak. Humanity had built their greatest machine for defense, but in doing so, they had announced their existence to the entire universe. The silence of the stars was over. Something was on its way. The silence after the signal faded felt heavier than any noise. The crew of Titanus went back to their routines, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every flicker of a screen, every vibration in the floor made people pause and look around nervously. No one wanted to say it aloud, but everyone knew the truth. Something had found them out there. Something intelligent. Something that had now gone quiet, but not necessarily gone away. Weeks passed. The world still didn't know. News channels called Titanus a symbol of peace and unity, showing bright images of the ship orbiting the Earth. The people on the ground saw hope and strength. The ones aboard the ship saw warning signs. The alien fragment inside Titanus hadn't gone dim. Its silver glow pulsed faintly every few hours, like a heartbeat keeping time with something unseen. Scientists working on the fragment grew obsessed. They noticed that its glow reacted to cosmic background radiation in ways no material should. The fragment wasn't random metal. It was alive in some strange way. Every time the ship's sensors pointed toward the direction where the alien signal had come from, the fragment pulsed faster, as if aware of what was being observed. It was like the ship and the unknown out there were still connected. Then one quiet shift, the connection returned. It started small, a faint static noise in the communication systems. The crew assumed it was interference, But soon the static changed tone, forming a slow rhythmic pattern. The sound was haunting and deliberate. The same pattern that had come before, but this time clearer. The crew gathered in the communication room, staring at the monitors in silence. The message wasn't words, it was tones layered and deep, filled with intention. Earth Command was alerted instantly. Orders came in: stay calm, keep recording, don't respond. But it was already too late for that. Titanus responded on its own. The alien fragment brightened so intensely that power readings across the ship spiked. Systems that weren't even connected to communications suddenly activated. The ship's external lights turned on, casting beams of light into the darkness of space. It was as if Titanus was answering without human control. In that exact moment, the ship's radar picked up a movement near Saturn, something massive emerging from behind the planet's rings. The readings showed it was larger than any human-built structure. At first, the crew thought it was a mirage or glitch, but when the object adjusted its course toward them, there was no denying it. It was a vessel. The alien ship wasn't solid in shape like human designs. It shimmered, constantly changing color and form, almost transparent at times. It glided forward slowly, not like something that used engines, but like it was drifting through space with control beyond physics. Its surface reflected starlight in strange liquid patterns. Everyone on Titanus froze, watching it appear on the main screen. No one spoke. The moment felt unreal. Humanity's first face-to-face contact with another intelligent species. Every training protocol said not to engage first, but curiosity fought against fear. The captain hesitated, then decided to send a universal radio message. Simple tones, neutral, peaceful. Seconds passed. The alien vessel responded immediately. A wave of harmonic frequencies filled the ship's speakers, almost musical, but layered in ways that made the human ear ache. The computers translated it into light pulses, patterns flashing across the screens. It wasn't random. It was communication, though no one understood it. The sounds resonated through the walls, and the fragment inside Titanus responded again, glowing in sync with the alien signals. The alien vessel began to move closer. Slowly, carefully. Panic spread among the crew, but the ship held its position. The alien vessel stopped at a distance, hovering silently in the black void. Then something even stranger happened. Beams of soft light stretched out from its surface, not like weapons, but like scanners. They passed over Titanus, sweeping across the hull in long arcs. The light didn't damage anything, it was observing, studying, reading. The crew on the bridge held their breath. The ship's sensors were picking up millions of data fluctuations, almost like the aliens were trying to understand Titanus at an atomic level. For the first time, humanity realized the aliens weren't here to fight. They were curious. When the scanning stopped, the alien vessel emitted one last tone, lower, slower, almost thoughtful, and then projected an image onto the void between them. It wasn't a hologram or light, it was something seen directly in the human mind. Every crew member saw it differently. Some saw shapes, others saw vast stars connected by glowing lines, and a few claimed they saw faces, familiar yet unrecognizable. The scientists quickly realized what was happening. The aliens weren't speaking through sound or text. They were communicating directly through thought, using frequencies that interacted with the human brain. The crew's thoughts were being interpreted and shaped into images they could each understand. Then, through the confusion, one message became clear to everyone aboard. "We see you." Those 3 words echoed in their minds, translated not by machines but by the fragment itself. It acted as a bridge, interpreting the alien signal into human understanding. The moment was breathtaking and terrifying at once. Humanity had been acknowledged. The alien vessel remained still for several minutes, as if waiting for a response. The command team on Titanus sent data bursts of peaceful intent. Mathematical codes, star charts, even simple human sounds like greetings and music. The aliens didn't react violently. They simply observed. Then another vision appeared in their minds. A memory, or maybe a warning. Images of galaxies burning, ships colliding in vast cosmic wars, planets consumed by light. Among the chaos, one symbol kept repeating. The same glowing shape embedded in Titanus's alien fragment. It was clear now the fragment came from their technology. It was a piece of their history. The aliens were not meeting strangers. They were meeting the ones who had reawakened something long lost. Suddenly, The alien vessel emitted a pulse so strong that it knocked out the ship's power for several seconds. When systems came back online, the alien craft had moved closer. The distance between them was now dangerously small. Some crew members wanted to retreat. Others wanted to open full communication. But before anyone could act, a small sphere of light detached from the alien ship and drifted toward Titanus. The defense systems automatically locked onto it, alarms blaring. But the sphere didn't attack, it simply hovered outside the main viewing deck. Through the transparent observation panels, the crew could see it pulsating softly, almost like a living being. The alien fragment within Titanus pulsed back in the same rhythm, matching its light perfectly. One scientist realized what was happening. The sphere wasn't a weapon, it was a messenger, maybe even a translator. It had come to make the connection direct. The ship's systems flickered again, and the same message repeated in their minds. You touched our past. You are not what we expected. The atmosphere on the bridge changed. The fear began to shift into awe. Humanity had been noticed not because they were a threat, but because they had reactivated something sacred. The aliens hadn't come to destroy. They had come to understand who had done this and why. After a few moments, the sphere of light began to retreat, returning to its parent vessel. Then the alien ship began to pull back, moving slowly away from Titanus. Before disappearing into the blackness, it sent one final image into the minds of the crew. A map of stars with one location marked in bright silver light. It was an invitation, or perhaps a warning, to come there someday. When it was gone, silence returned to space. The crew stood at their stations, stunned. The first contact had happened and no one had fired a shot. Humanity had reached across the cosmic ocean and something had reached back, not with anger but with curiosity. Yet deep down, every person on that ship felt the same quiet thought. If this was their first meeting, what would the second one bring? Back on Earth, scientists studied the recordings in disbelief. They confirmed the contact, but the governments decided to keep it hidden from the public. The world wasn't ready to know that humans had just met something far beyond them, beings who saw their greatest ship not as a weapon, but as an echo of their own history. The official reports called it a technical anomaly. The public never knew what had really happened near Saturn. As Titanus turned back toward home, its alien fragment dimmed to a faint glow as if resting. The crew watched the stars in silence, their thoughts filled with wonder. Somewhere out there, ancient eyes had seen them. Humanity had shouted into the void, and the void had finally whispered back. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Something had changed forever. The world still had no idea what had really happened near Saturn. Governments called it a routine deep space test, but the crew of Titanus knew the truth. They had made contact with something that was not human, something powerful yet peaceful, something that now knew Earth existed. The silence that followed that meeting was not comforting. It was tense, filled with quiet questions no one dared to ask. The ship had returned to a steady orbit around Earth. Repairs were underway, but the engineers noticed that the alien fragment inside Titanus was behaving strangely again. It no longer pulsed in soft blue light. Now it glowed faint gold, like it was waiting for something. Every few hours it released faint waves of energy that rippled through the ship's metal walls. Those waves didn't harm anything, but they made instruments flicker, and lights dim for a second. The crew got used to it, but deep down everyone felt uneasy. Scientists tried to explain it. Maybe it was reacting to cosmic radiation. Maybe it was a leftover effect from the alien contact. No one could be sure. The fragment didn't respond to human control anymore. It had become something separate, something with its own rhythm. Then, something even stranger happened. While the crew slept in their quarters, one of the exterior sensors detected a sudden flash of light far away from Earth. It lasted only a few seconds. When analysts checked the data, they saw something impossible. A massive object appeared near the moon only to vanish instantly. Some thought it was a glitch. Others feared it was a new visitor. A few hours later, the ship's long-range scanners detected faint movement at the edge of Earth's orbit. Not one, but several unknown signatures. They were small, fast, and silent. The command team immediately sent a report to Earth. Within minutes, they received one clear order: remain on alert but do not engage. The crew gathered on the observation deck, watching the stars with tension in their eyes. The dark void looked peaceful, but their instruments told another story. Something was out there approaching slowly. It wasn't coming directly at them, but circling, as if watching from a distance. The next day, the unknown signals disappeared completely. The readings became quiet again, leaving the crew confused. Maybe the visitors had left, maybe it was only space debris, they thought. Everyone wanted to believe that. They wanted normal days again. Simple silence. But silence never lasts long in space. 3 days later, the alien fragment reacted violently for the first time since their return. It pulsed with sharp flashes, lighting up the entire control room in a golden storm. The vibrations shook the walls and triggered alarms across the ship. Scientists ran to shut it down, but the moment they touched the control panels, the system froze. The alien energy wasn't just pulsing, it was transmitting something. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The lights went dark for 2 full minutes. When they came back, the communication systems lit up with strange symbols, rows of geometric patterns scrolling across the screens. No human could read them, but one thing was clear. The fragment had received a message. Within hours, more movement appeared in the sky. This time, even Earth's satellites picked it up. An enormous object had entered the solar system, moving with impossible speed. The trajectory matched the same direction the first alien vessel had come from. But this one was different, it was bigger. The new vessel dwarfed Titanus. Its outline stretched like a floating mountain, layered in shimmering plates of light. Unlike the first ship, which had been calm and graceful, this one moved with purpose. The alien fragment began glowing violently again, as if reacting in recognition or alarm. Earth's Defense Council panicked. Every nation went into silent emergency mode, hiding the truth from the public. Some leaders wanted to send nuclear weapons into orbit. Others said to wait to see what these new visitors wanted. Titanus received new orders: prepare for contact but remain defensive. The crew gathered in the main control chamber, hearts racing. Every screen showed the massive vessel growing larger as it approached. Its shape changed constantly, like it was made of clouds and glass glowing softly from within. The moment it reached visible range, it stopped. Then the sky filled with sound. A deep tone echoed through space, an impossible vibration that made the air inside Titanus hum. It wasn't sound through air, but through energy. It reached straight into the crew's bones, filling them with both awe and fear. Then came the light. Beams of gold and silver stretched from the alien vessel toward Titanus, not as weapons, but as signals. One scientist realized what was happening. These beings were scanning Titanus again, just like the first ship did. But this time their technology was stronger, faster, and far more focused. The alien fragment inside the ship pulsed wildly, matching the rhythm of the alien beams. The crew tried to send peaceful messages, but every attempt was overridden by the ship's systems. Titanus was communicating on its own again. The alien technology within it had taken over all frequencies. It was as if the two ships were speaking a language humans could never understand. Suddenly, the alien vessel stopped transmitting. For a long moment, it just hovered there, massive and silent. Then a section of its glowing surface began to open, folding outward like petals of light. From within, hundreds of smaller orbs emerged. They drifted slowly toward Titanus, glowing like small suns. The defense systems locked onto them instantly, but the orbs didn't attack. They simply spread out, forming a circle around Titanus. The crew watched from the observation deck as the orbs released beams of soft light that connected with each other, creating a giant web-like pattern in space. It was beautiful and terrifying. Then, inside the ship, the fragment began to project something. Lines of light spread across the control room, forming strange symbols and patterns on every wall. Scientists recorded everything, their hands trembling. The fragment was replaying data it had never shown before. Images of worlds, cities, and enormous structures floating between stars. It was showing the history of the aliens themselves. The pictures were breathtaking, planets glowing with golden oceans, tall crystal towers reaching beyond the clouds, and fleets of ships like living creatures drifting through space, humanity's screens filled with wonders beyond imagination. But the beauty turned to horror when the images changed. The golden worlds burned. Great explosions tore through the alien cities. Beings of light fought in silence, and one by one their planets vanished into dust. The last image showed a single fragment, a piece of their lost civilization, drifting through space. The same fragment that now powered Titanus. The truth hit everyone at once. The fragment inside the ship was a survivor of a long-dead civilization, a memory of a race that had destroyed itself in war. The first alien ship that had visited them must have recognized it, and now this new vessel had come to reclaim it. The crew looked at each other in fear. If the aliens wanted their technology back, would they take it peacefully? Or by force? The lights in the room flickered again. The alien vessel outside shifted colors from gold to dark red, glowing like fire. Its massive energy reading spiked on the scanners. For a moment, everyone thought it was preparing to attack. The crew braced for impact. Then something unexpected happened. The alien fragment inside Titanus released a blinding burst of light. The alien ship froze mid-movement. Every orb around Titanus stopped glowing. The entire web of light faded away. Silence filled space again. It was as if the fragment had spoken a command, one that even the alien ship had to obey. The alien vessel slowly dimmed back to its soft gold color. Its energy levels dropped. Then it sent one last signal, this time translated by Titanus's systems. The message was short but clear. You are not our enemy. Protect what you carry. And just like that, the alien fleet began to pull back. The orbs vanished one by one, dissolving into dust. The giant vessel turned and slowly disappeared into the distance, fading into the blackness of space. The crew of Titanus stood frozen, unsure what had just happened. Humanity had survived a moment that could have turned into destruction, not because of strength or weapons, but because of something hidden inside their ship, something ancient and powerful that even the aliens respected. Back on Earth, leaders breathed in relief, but they knew everything had changed. The secret was growing too big to hide. The galaxy now knew Earth existed. And somewhere out there, the beings who once ruled the stars were watching closely. Titanus floated in silence again, its golden core glowing softly, like a heart at rest. The crew didn't celebrate. They only stared at the stars, knowing that humanity had just stepped into a galaxy filled with ancient stories, and they were now part of one. The warship that was built for protection had become something far greater. It was now the keeper of a secret older than the human race itself, and the stars were no longer quiet. They were whispering again, waiting for what humanity would do next. The silence after the alien fleet's departure felt heavier than the noise of any battle. The crew of Titanus floated in orbit, staring at empty space where that enormous ship had vanished. No one spoke for several minutes. Every person on board was trying to understand what had just happened. They had witnessed something that no one on Earth would believe. An alien civilization had contacted them, tested them, and then left. Down on Earth, leaders watched the footage with disbelief. They wanted to celebrate, but fear held them back. They had seen how easily the alien ship had moved through the solar system, how effortlessly it could have destroyed everything, yet it didn't. Instead, it had said only one thing: protect what you carry. That message kept repeating in every scientist's mind. What did it mean? Protect it from whom? The alien fragment inside Titanus still glowed faintly. Its golden light was calm now, but something about it felt different. Stronger, more awake. Scientists studied it day and night, but the readings made no sense. It was releasing tiny bursts of unknown energy, creating patterns like language, almost as if it was trying to talk. The crew began recording those pulses and comparing them. Every pulse had rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Then one morning, the fragment did something that shocked everyone. Without warning, the entire ship powered up on its own. The engines, lights, and systems all came alive, though no one had touched the controls. The central screen displayed a glowing line of symbols that none of the humans could read. Then Titanus spoke, not with a human voice, but through the ship's speakers in a calm, digital tone. The system translated the alien symbols into English words. Journey must continue. Panic filled the control deck. The captain shouted for the engineers to shut everything down, but the controls didn't respond. The ship was moving, slow and steady, heading away from Earth. Within minutes, Titanus was gliding deeper into space, guided by something invisible. Earth's defense command called repeatedly, but all communications were jammed by a strange golden static. No one knew where they were going. The engines were locked, but the path was smooth, steady, and precise. The alien fragment was in full control. The scientists realized what was happening. It was guiding them somewhere. Hours passed, then days. They moved far beyond the moon's orbit, then beyond Mars. They passed the asteroid belt, heading straight toward the outer regions of the solar system. The crew tried to stay calm, but everyone could feel it. The ship was no longer just a machine. It was being guided like it had a purpose. After almost 2 weeks, Titanus reached a region of deep space where no signal from Earth could reach them. The alien energy inside the ship grew brighter, spreading golden light across every wall. Then the ship stopped moving. Everything went quiet. A soft vibration filled the air, almost like a hum. On the main screen, a new image appeared, a star map. The alien fragment was projecting coordinates far beyond the solar system, pointing to a cluster of stars that no human had ever visited. Slowly, a symbol appeared beside those coordinates, the same emblem seen on the first alien ship they had encountered. The scientists began to realize something important. The fragment wasn't just a relic. It was a beacon, a signal that connected to others like it. The aliens who had come before must have been searching for these lost fragments, scattered across the galaxy, and now it wanted to reconnect with them. The crew debated whether they should follow the coordinates. It was dangerous, unknown territory. But then the ship's system displayed another short message. The truth lies beyond. Finally, the captain gave the order to follow the path. The engines flared, and Titanus began its journey beyond the edge of human space. The stars around them stretched into long trails of light as they entered faster-than-light travel for the first time since the incident near Saturn. During the long journey, the crew had time to think. Every person on board felt the same strange mix of fear and curiosity. What if the aliens weren't gone? What if they were being called to something greater? After what felt like weeks, Titanus slowed down. The stars snapped back into normal view, and a breathtaking sight filled the observation windows. Before them hung a massive structure floating in deep space, a ring-shaped station the size of a planet, glowing softly in gold and silver light. It looked ancient, silent and covered in drifting debris as if it had been abandoned for ages. The alien fragment reacted immediately. It shone brighter than ever before, sending golden pulses toward the ring. Then small lights on the ring structure flickered to life one by one, forming a path of glowing lines leading to its center. The ship followed automatically. As they approached, scanners picked up strange readings, traces of energy older than Earth itself. The place was ancient, yet it still lived. The ship stopped near what looked like a massive doorway, made of shifting patterns of light. The alien fragment released a final pulse and the doorway opened. No one could believe what they saw inside. The core of the ring was filled with thousands of floating spheres, each one glowing faintly like a memory trapped in time. Some contained shapes, cities, and landscapes. It looked like a museum of entire civilizations. The scientists realized these were data spheres, records of lost species that had once existed across the galaxy. Then the alien fragment inside Titanus detached itself from its containment chamber. It floated slowly toward the glowing doorway, leaving behind a trail of golden sparks. It didn't need machines or help. It moved like it was going home. The crew tried to stop it, but no one could move closer. The ship's energy field held everyone back. They could only watch as the fragment reached the center of the giant structure. The moment it entered, the entire ring came alive. Golden light spread through every corner of the ancient station. The silent spheres began spinning, projecting beams of images into space. The crew saw visions, galaxies being born, civilizations rising and falling, and the alien species that had once ruled the stars. It wasn't chaos. It was history. The fragment had awakened a memory of the universe itself. The projection showed the rise of a grand civilization that had united thousands of species under peace. They were beings of light, intelligent, and kind. But over time, pride and power divided them. Wars erupted between their worlds, and in their final battle, they destroyed everything, including themselves. The only thing left were these memory fragments, scattered through space, waiting for a new race to find them. The scientists on Titanus finally understood. Humanity's warship hadn't just triggered first contact, it had reawakened an ancient story. The aliens who had visited Earth had once been guardians of peace, and their warning to protect what you carry meant something far deeper. Humanity had inherited their last remaining knowledge. As the light show continued, the alien ring sent one last wave of energy into Titanus. The computers recorded it instantly. It was a message encoded in light. The translation came through slowly. You are chosen to remember. Do not repeat our fate. Then the glowing ring began to fade again. The lights dimmed, and the ancient structure returned to silence. The fragment that had left the ship no longer returned. It had merged with the ring, becoming one with it. For a moment no one spoke. The crew simply stared into the darkness, realizing they had just witnessed the history of an entire galactic civilization, one that had died long before humans even existed. Slowly, Titanus began to move again, turning back toward home. The path was quiet, peaceful. The alien technology had released control, letting the humans steer once more. They felt different now, not like explorers, but like guardians of something sacred. As Earth came back into view, the crew prepared to share their discovery. The world would soon learn that humanity wasn't alone, not in the past and not in the future. They had seen the mistakes of others, and now they carried both the warning and the wisdom to protect what was left. The stars no longer felt distant. They felt alive, full of stories waiting to be told. And deep inside Titanus, though the fragment was gone, a soft hum still lingered in the metal walls, like a heartbeat, reminding everyone that the universe was still watching. That night, as the ship's lights dimmed and the Earth's blue glow filled the windows, every crew member felt the same quiet thought. Humanity's true journey had just begun. The warship built for battle had become a vessel of truth, carrying not weapons but the memory of civilizations long lost, and the hope that this time, humanity would do better. When Titanus returned to Earth's orbit, the planet below looked calm and blue, but inside every heart on board there was a storm of thoughts. They had traveled far beyond what humans ever imagined possible. They had seen the truth about the universe, its beauty, its destruction, and the long-forgotten beings that once ruled it. Yet now, as they looked down at their home world, they realized how small and fragile Earth really was. The world governments had been waiting. Every space agency, every leader, every scientist wanted answers. Titanus was immediately surrounded by satellites, drones, and communication links. When the ship reconnected, the control center filled with cheers, relief, and confusion. No one had expected them to come back alive, especially after weeks of silence. The captain's voice came through first, calm but heavy. "We found something out there," he said. "Something ancient. Something that changes everything." That single sentence spread across the planet within hours. The people of Earth listened, shocked, curious, and frightened. News channels broadcast the message around the clock. Everyone wanted to know what Titanus had found. The crew was quarantined for safety, but even then they couldn't rest. Scientists rushed to study the data Titanus had brought back. Thousands of recordings, maps, and signals were stored inside its system. Each one told a story, not of human wars or exploration, but of the rise and fall of countless alien civilizations. The alien message that said, "You are chosen to remember, do not repeat our fate," became a mystery the entire world tried to solve. Religious groups said it was a divine warning. Scientists said it was an intergalactic history lesson. Some people even feared it was a test, that humanity was being watched to see if it would destroy itself the same way those ancient beings did. Meanwhile, deep inside Titanus, strange things continued to happen. Even though the alien fragment had merged with the ring in deep space, traces of its energy still pulsed inside the ship. Instruments picked up faint golden signals that seemed to come from nowhere. It was as if the ship had become permanently linked to that ancient system. Whenever those golden pulses appeared, they formed patterns, repeating shapes and symbols that looked like part of a language. Linguists and code experts from around the world worked day and night to decode them. After weeks of study, they noticed that the symbols weren't random. They seemed to be maps. Maps of other systems, other galaxies, maybe even other surviving fragments. This discovery spread hope across Earth. If the alien civilization had fallen, maybe some of its knowledge still existed out there. Humanity might not be alone in carrying its memory. Soon meetings were held between all major space nations. For the first time in history, countries that had once competed now sat together with one goal: to explore the stars not as rivals, but as one species. The project was named the Beacon Initiative. Its purpose was simple: to find the remaining fragments and learn the truth about the galaxy. While the world prepared for this new era, the crew of Titanus struggled to adjust back to normal life. The stars had changed them. The silence of deep space, the ancient lights they had witnessed, it all made daily life on Earth feel smaller. Yet they knew their role was not over. One evening, as the ship orbited above Earth, A few of them gathered in the observation bay. The planet below glowed in shades of blue and green. It looked peaceful, innocent, a world that still had time to learn before making the same mistakes as those who came before. One of the scientists whispered, "Do you think they're still out there? The ones who built all that?" The captain watched the stars, his reflection shining in the window. "Maybe," he said quietly. "Or maybe they're watching through us now." At that very moment, the ship's sensors picked up something faint, a tiny flash deep in space, beyond any known signal range. It wasn't a star or a meteor. It looked artificial. The crew immediately sent the data to Earth's control center. Within minutes, every radar and telescope was aimed at that region. The signal repeated 3 times, then vanished. The scientists confirmed it wasn't human-made. The signal matched the same golden frequency used by the alien fragment. Whatever it was, it came from another part of the galaxy, maybe another fragment calling out. The world buzzed with excitement and fear. Humanity had already been warned once, but curiosity is part of its nature. People wanted to know what else was waiting beyond the stars. Was it another ancient memory? Or a living civilization that had survived? Preparations for a second deep space mission began almost immediately. Titanic was to lead it once again. Engineers upgraded its systems, making it stronger, faster, and better equipped for interstellar travel. This time it wouldn't just carry soldiers and scientists. It would carry the hopes of an entire planet. Before the launch, the captain addressed the world. His voice was calm, steady, but full of meaning. "Not long ago, we built this ship as a weapon, a tool to protect us from what we feared. But it became something else. It became a bridge between what we are and what we can be. Out there, we found proof that we're not the first to reach the stars. Others came before us. They were powerful, yet they fell. Now we must learn from them. We must be better. Because the universe doesn't reward power. It rewards wisdom." The speech spread across every screen on Earth. For once, people stopped arguing and started listening. The message of peace and responsibility echoed everywhere. From classrooms to governments, from cities to small villages. Humanity finally began to understand that the universe was not a battlefield, but a living history book, one that had just opened its first page to them. When the day of the second mission came, crowds gathered around the world to watch Titanic rise again. Its massive frame glowed under the sunlight, covered in markings of gold, the same alien patterns that had been found inside it. Some called it superstition, others said it was respect. The engines ignited, lighting up the sky. The ship slowly lifted, then vanished into the upper atmosphere, leaving behind a long streak of silver. Cheers erupted everywhere, mixed with tears and prayers. Humanity wasn't sending a warship anymore, it was sending a messenger of peace. Far from Earth, the stars waited silently. As Titanic crossed the edge of human space once more, the golden signals began to appear again on the screens. The same patterns, the same rhythm, but this time stronger. The ship was being welcomed back, guided toward something unseen. Hours passed, then days. The golden light outside the windows grew brighter, spreading across the sky until it looked like a sunrise in space. Everyone on board could feel it, a presence vast and calm surrounding them. Then through the static, a voice filled the communication system. It wasn't human, but it wasn't frightening either. It spoke in a tone like wind through metal, deep and soft. The translation system activated automatically, and the words appeared on the main screen. "Children of the new sun, you carry what was lost. Do not repeat the sorrow that ended us. Learn, remember, and rise." The message ended, leaving the crew in complete silence. No one moved, no one spoke. Tears filled some eyes. For the first time, humanity was not being warned. It was being trusted. The alien light slowly faded, leaving only the stars once again. Titanic continued forward, steady and silent. Its mission had changed forever. It was no longer searching for weapons or power. It was searching for understanding, for the forgotten pieces of a universe that had once been alive with light and wisdom. Back on Earth, people looked up at the night sky differently. Every star now felt like a memory, every beam of light a message from the past. The human race had stepped into a greater story, one that had no end, only lessons to be learned. As Titanic moved deeper into the unknown, its golden light shimmered softly in the dark. It carried no armies, only humanity's promise, to protect what was given, to honor what was lost, and to never again let the stars fall silent. The universe wasn't just watching anymore. It was listening. And for the first time in history, humanity had finally learned how to speak back, not with fear but with hope.